Friend, Shabbat Shalom. I do look forward every week to giving a message to the congregation. It's stressful during the week trying to come up with an idea to present to the congregation, but once it's there, it's something that gives me great joy, and hopefully I can impart something that is meaningful to those of you who are participating in the service. One of our frustrations as proud Americans, at least mine, is how we as a nation take things that appear to be non-controversial and we make them controversial. The most obvious example is this COVID-19 vaccination. It seems so obvious that vaccination is a necessity to stop the pandemic, but it has become, in a way that I can't fully grasp, a political thing. It appears a lot of adults, especially in the state of Missouri, feel that vaccination is some kind of act of tyranny. This makes no sense. The vaccine is safe and it can save lives. And not taking it seems bizarre, self-destructive. And what has happened? We've taken something that seems so simple and made it into something that is controversial. This appears to be the case when we deal with religion. On this Shabbat, we read in the Torah the Ten Commandments and the entire experience of the Israelites receiving the Torah at Mount Sinai, specifically the Ten Commandments. Now, in our country, it is forbidden to post the Ten Commandments in places that are secular in nature. The Supreme Court held that more than 40 years ago, in a case called Stone versus Graham, that the displaying the Ten Commandments in a public school would violate the Constitution. The commandments are sacred religious texts in the Jewish and Christian religions, and displaying the religious code endorses a specific religion with a specific perspective and sends a message to students who are not part of those religious traditions that somehow they are outsiders and not full members of our great country. The Ten Commandments have no religious meaning for Muslims, Hindus, Buddhists, Sikhs, who practice other religions or no religion at all. And even adherents to the Ten Commandments have significant disagreements about the text and its meaning. Disagreements lie not only among Jews and Christians, but also among Catholics, Lutherans, and other Protestants. No matter what version a school board would choose to display, for one group or another, it would be the wrong version. So why can't the matter end there? It has to do with this world that we live in of culture wars that have become so central to political discourse. There is a belief among some politicians, some parents, some educators, that if all school children in America read the Ten Commandments each day, it would raise the moral consciousness of our nation and make good citizens. That seems to me quite simplistic. But for the Jews, it's even more simplistic. As we Jews read these 10 commandments, really in our tradition it's called the 10 utterances, we find them to be ambiguous, non-specific, in a need for interpretation from start to finish. I went through the 10 commandments this past week, and these are the things that became confusing for me that I wanted to share with you. Take, for example, the first commandment. I am the Lord your God. It's not even a commandment. It's not so clear what it means. If it meant you must believe in God, a clear order to the Hebrews would have been believe in God. Is belief in God an obligation or is it a quest? It's all very confusing, whether it's a commandment or something else. The fifth commandment says, Kabed, honor your father and mother, not love them. It's not so clear the difference between love and honoring. And the sages spent a great deal of time trying to make sense of the distinction. The sixth commandment says, you shall not murder. Most people can't understand the difference between murder, homicide, and killing. There are many times in the Torah where killing is permitted, for example, self-defense. Or take the 10th commandment. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife. You shall not crave your neighbor's house, or his field, or his male or female slave, or his ox, or his ass, or anything that is your neighbor's. But is coveting always bad? Maybe it isn't. As we live, we see other people accomplishing things. It motivates us to work harder, to get off our rear ends and move ahead. The coveted object is something that you want but cannot have. The commandment seems to be directed to the heart and a warning that greed unchecked will likely lead to an actual transgression. But again, maybe to covet something is to focus on, something, that person has it, and maybe I'm motivated to get that, not so much out of jealousy, but out of a sense is, maybe I need to motivate myself. The Midrash tells us, Rabbi Nachman said that the Yetzer Hara, that part of our personality, we translate it the evil energy, which gives us appetites, our aggressiveness, our coveting instinct. It's a good thing, because were it not for this Yetzer Hara, men would not build homes, take wives, have children, or engage in businesses. It's not so simple what coveting or not coveting really means. We can see that these commandments are, for many faiths, filled with vagueness. Now give me time for one more example. The Ten Commandments is an important sacred text, especially in the Jewish tradition. We read it 3 times in the year. We read it in the beginning of Exodus and Parshat Yitro. We read it in this week's Torah portion of Et Hanan. We read it on Shavuot when we celebrate the giving of the Torah. And one of the questions that our tradition has is, should we stand or sit for the reciting of the Ten Commandments? It has to do with what status you think the Ten Commandments has. Those who stand affirm the posture of the Jews who stood at Mount Sinai. They received the Ten Commandments standing, emphasizing how important they were. Those who sit, however, are affirming that the Ten Commandments have no special and separate status from the rest of the Torah. It's very important. The teachings are extremely central, but there's 613 other commandments. One commandment is not more important than another. That's the debate. So what do we learn about Judaism's view of religion from this kind of dissecting and analysis of all the kind of ambiguous parts of the Ten Commandments? If you want a religion that just gives you rules and traditions and says, do it and be quiet, Judaism is not your religion. Judaism is a quest for meaning. The purpose and love of God comes from a quest. It's ongoing. It's a struggle. It's not always clear. There's ambiguity. One person will look at something one way and one person will look at something the other. The tradition is sacred, but it always requires continuous discussion and study. In the course of 3,500 years of Jewish tradition, different customs evolved, based most often on geography, where Jews lived, or different political and social circumstances. Diversity is a rule, not the exception. I get very frustrated with people that say to me, I was at this synagogue in this place at this time, and the melodies were different than ours. The prayer book was different. the seating arrangement was different, and before they get a chance to say that they didn't like it, I say, isn't it wonderful that Judaism is so strong and vibrant and dynamic that encourages difference and nuance, variety and creativity? Look, every week when we bring the service to you, there's different melodies, there's different readings. That's true in every synagogue all over the world. That's what's good. That's what's fresh. That's what it means to be part of a vital and relevant community. Isn't messiness and disagreement and surprise and variety wonderful? That's why Judaism is such a blessing to the Jewish people and to the world. There will always be people that approach problems simplistically. There will always be people who cannot handle diversity or difference. There will always be people who cannot live with contradictions. That is not the Jewish people, and I'm proud of this. Shabbat Shalom.